I know. Welcome to Steve. We're happy to have you amongst our ranks.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just procedurally, Steve, because you are online, we have to do all of our votes via roll call. It's just one of our Zoom rules, so.
Okay.
First order of business is to accept the minutes of the June 5th regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? I don't know if Steve can vote on this anyway because he wasn't there. but- Melissa?
Aye.
Aye. Shay, aye. Visitor comments and petitions. Is there anyone here for anything that is not on the agenda? Okay. Excellent. We have John King here. Ferry service update.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. I sent you folks the response I got from Bill Gary, so I assume you've had a chance to read it. I thought his response was completely appropriate. What left me with some questions was the email that he forwarded to us from Gilbert and Associates regarding Concept C, which is apparently the one that they want to push along. I don't know if it's final yet. Anyway, Bill Pulver and Bill Geary were meeting, I think, by Zoom with Gilbert today. They know what the questions are by virtue of my prior correspondence. So hopefully we'll get some answers, but we're not gonna have them tonight. I just wanted to let you folks know that yesterday, I just sent correspondence to Bill Pulver, and I kind of backed off a little bit, but what I was curious about was the email that Gilbert had sent us, because it doesn't really tell us that if they go with Concept C, what the width of the outside lanes would be. They said they would average, the average outer car lane width is 9 foot 6 inches wall to wall, and they're eliminating the rails. So, but I don't know what average means. So I wrote Bill Pulver yesterday to try to clarify that. And I'll just tell you what I said. I said, the note from Gilbert states that the average outside lane width has been increased by 6 inches to 9 foot 6. The drawings I have do not show whether or not there are or will be other impediments, piping, vents, hatches, and the like. More important, what does average mean? Does that mean one side might be 10 feet wide and the other side 9 feet wide? Or does it mean that there are anticipated pinch and choke points on one or both of the lanes? I said, I do see something of a bulge on the starboard outside lane, but I don't know what it is. And the drawing's not detailed enough. Because I thought before, at least I get my pants on fire, we should know what we're dealing with. So, and that was not a specific question that we had asked in my official correspondence. So, and I said, this is important to users, even with rails. People can whack their outside rearview mirrors on pipes and the like, and these days with warning lights and mini radar devices, these things cost a lot to replace, so do tires and wheels. If we are dealing with choke points, will people still be trapped in their vehicles? As a general proposition, the driver has no ability to pick and choose what lane they end up in. What I think would be helpful to the select board would be information that states exactly what the unobstructed width of both outside lanes is planned to be, and what the difference is between that planned width and what we now have on the Margaret Chase Smith. So hopefully we can clarify that. I also put a paragraph in. The current plan has no seating on the deck level. And they deal with handicap issues by putting an elevator in the boat, which I dread, but that seems to be the policy that, or that seems to be what they're suggesting. And, what I did ask was, okay, and everyone says it's a short trip and all that, which it is, but if you have people with in wheelchairs or COPD or whatever, and for some reason they have to get out of the vehicle and there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to put them. What I don't know, and I don't wanna spend 5 hours researching, is why the Code of Federal Regulations means the boat can't run. So I asked them to ask, these guys deal with this stuff all the time, I don't, so I just asked Bill Pulver to clarify that with Gilbert, because I think it was the Thompson, the first thing that happened when the Thompson was put into service was the elevator broke down. And, hopefully that wouldn't happen with us, but elevators and boats are not a great combo. So I'm not really happy about that, but I did ask about that too, so that, and that's all I did. I did not go on a rant or a rave or anything else. I just asked these questions. And,
No, well, I think, I mean, the level of detail of the questions, I think should, let them know how closely you're paying attention and, caring about the issue. So hopefully that sends a message to, if they're reading it carefully, they hopefully will pick up on the message of,
those are the only two things I said, so they don't have to read it that
Right.
carefully.
But those are pretty picky points, both of them, so. Not picky in the bad sense of the word, but I mean, you're asking for detail. And it reflects your being careful, very careful about what you're observing that they're putting out there. So
Well, I think it's information you folks should know before we get down to the nitty gritty and say, okay, what if anything are we doing here?
Yeah.
So,
It looks like Steve has a question for you.
which way do I look on this thing?
you just look straight at the L. Like I said, L.
Okay,
Oh, you're muted though, Steve, we can't hear you. It doesn't look like you're muted, but we couldn't hear you,
Can you hear me?
no,
like very,
Very faintly.
Faintly. That's not good. Any better?
no.
Can you type your question? Or can you change to a different microphone on your setup?
That might work.
I can put you on speakerphone on my phone.
Okay. One thing maybe, John, to bring to their attention, it just introduced in '87, the car sizes in '87, 37 years ago, were much smaller, in width and size than they are today. So are we, one point to maybe bring up is that, are we designing, a ferry that is the same capabilities and to manage car sizes, that were around 30 some years ago? I don't know, it might be an interesting point to throw in. That's my thought.
thanks, can you hear me okay, Steve?
Thank you.
Okay, that point has been made on numerous occasions, already. And in fact, that's one of the reasons we're in this dilemma. And, of course, one issue is how much bigger can these SUVs and Tahoes and all that stuff get? And my gut feeling, having talked to some people about it, is that you can't really get that much bigger than they already are, because they're not gonna fit anywhere. And so, but we have made the point. I mean, I think it's an extremely valid point. And I think when the Maggie first went into service, we didn't have much of the problems that we have now. But anyway, we have had those discussions. You bet.
Any other questions for John?
So I guess What I plan to do is I assume I'm gonna get some kind of correspondence from Bill Pulver or Gilbert. I'm not sure, probably Pulver. And as soon as I get it, I'll send it to you folks and I'll try to come to the next meeting and we can maybe have some thoughts about where we go from there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds good.
great. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Just one question, I guess, for everybody. Is anybody planning to attend the meeting this week on Thursday that the ferry service crew is putting on?
I can't. I would like to, but I can't. I have to be down in Portland for a medical appointment, unfortunately. It's the Maine State Employees Association. And, you know, I think it's about staffing and any discussions about staffing are worthwhile as far as I'm concerned.
Great, no, it's good. I was gonna hope to go too, but it's great if you are planning to go. I think, yeah.
What time is that meeting? Do you remember? 'Cause Housing committee is at 5 o'clock here.
I think it's at 6.
It's 6.
Okay. Thanks,
Yeah,
Maggie.
it's at the ICC.
And so I'll be for the housing committee and then at 6 or about 5:50, I'll duck out and then head down there to the ICC.
Okay.
And
That would be great, because I wish I could be there, but I can't, so.
Yep.
But I'm sure I'll get a full report.
Sounds good.
Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You bet.
Sea level rise update. Our next sea level rise community meeting is tomorrow from 5 to 6 via Zoom only. The goal is basically after having kind of a week to digest what the GZA presentation was, to come together, try to understand what the questions and feedback are, particularly going to go back to GZA as they finalize their report. And there are a couple of different other community outreach events planned. One is July 2nd here. And another one on July 9th. Specifically for kind of the neighbors of the Narrows. Where Shree will be here in person and is offering kind of a walk around the Narrows too with the site plans, so, any questions?
How did the GZA presentation go? I unfortunately was unable to get logged in.
So I think it was good. It was well attended. I think there was like 25 or 30 people online and another 10 people in the room. And Maggie has her hand up. You wanna-
I'm just wondering what time those meetings are.
Good question. The meeting on the second is at 5 o'clock. And the meeting on the 9th is at 4 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So I think it was good. They presented just a tremendous amount of information. I mean, the number of options and combinations of options is both, I mean, it's sort of like variations on the same thing. And so it's like, how can we package it in a way that is clear and not overwhelming?
Right.
And I think one of the most frustrating things was they presented a lot of information. Most of the financial information they presented was just on the slideshow and not in the written materials that we received beforehand. And so it, you know, I think that's where it was like, okay, like, let's listen to it and then reconvene in a week when we've all had time to kind of absorb it. Yeah, so
And is the presentation and slideshow and stuff available?
it is
at our
on the
website?
website. Yep. You have the draft, there's a draft report, the slideshow that they gave, and link to the video of the meeting is all available on the town website.
Awesome.
Any other
That's where
questions?
we come together.
Yeah, no, I think it was a good discussion for, yeah. So. Did you have another question, Maggie, or just residual hand raise?
Sorry, residual hand raise.
No worries, I just want to make sure before I moved on. Okay, municipal building project update.
Oh, nothing except for, I think probably everybody noticed there's heavy equipment out there and they've started site preparation and Yahoo.
Any questions for Lauren? Okay. Upcoming meetings and subcommittee reports, planning board meets July 1st. We have a couple meetings I just mentioned on Ceiling Rise. Anything else?
Housing Thursday at 5 o'clock.
Lighthouse. The last Thursday, so the 25th, the 20th,
27th.
27th, even at 4 o'clock.
Any subcommittee reports? Okay. Town manager report.
The municipal broadband is seeking a committee member, but you all might have seen John Rexall and Tina send that out. To fill one vacancy, and their next meeting will be June 27th at 3:30 in the ICC. I've given you minutes of the Energy Committee meeting from May 14th. We received under correspondence from Waldo County Budget Committee an official ballot. They have someone from Lincolnville who wants to be on that budget committee. And Dave Kinney said, you know, if we could vote for it, that would be nice, unless we have someone for a write-in, which I'm not aware, but if there was someone here tonight and wanted to be on that budget committee, that we could write their name in there and submit it. They want it back by July 2nd. So anybody?
Just as context for Steve, in the past, we have had a representative from Islesboro sit in on the Waldo County Budget Committee. We haven't had a representative in a couple of years, but, they, you know, I think it's good to have someone who's paying attention to the county budget process. And should you be interested in representing us in that capacity, we'd be happy to put your name on the ballot. Oh, we can't hear you though.
Sign language. The meetings are usually.
That's good.
I feel like I jumped into one end of the pool, I don't. Here,
Right.
thank you.
Smart man.
And all the meetings, I believe, are in the evening, 7 o'clock in Belfast, so. And you have an agenda for the June 25th, Mid-Coast Council of Governments, MCOG, looking for an Islesboro member, and I might have read that they might like 2 people. Or
Yeah.
maybe 2 people could.
Yeah, I thought that we all had gotten that email and, I know that they had suggested, Michael Nelson, because he participates with them on the housing committee, which I thought was a good suggestion, but it sounded like they also were hoping to have, someone else from
As well.
the select board or, town administration, so I just thought it was worth talking about at this meeting. And I think you know, I know. It's a hard time of year to ask anybody to do anything else.
With that, because I think is another one that their meetings and everything are in the evening.
I don't know what time. I can find, well, this General Assembly will be the 27th at the Rockland City Hall from 11 to 2:30. I kind of think they're during the day. I don't, but I can find out.
Happen at night.
I can do the daytime during the summer, and I can't do, but I guess my other question is, Do you guys pay for a quick summer to get us home if we go to stuff like this or no?
We would,
Okay. That's helpful.
yeah. Let me find out that the hours that they normally meet.
Yeah, if you'll email me on that, cause then I can probably do this.
Well, don't stretch yourself.
Well, no, it's okay, cause I'm on the housing thing with Michael.
Do you think, do we know if he?
I don't know if he accepted or not.
I don't think he was on the email and I haven't reached out to him myself. I figured I'd wait till this meeting, so.
I haven't heard of it, trust me.
Oh, maybe I did.
But I see him Thursday. So. I
It
can
looks
prove-
like a year ago, they were meeting at 5:30 to 7
Right?
at the Searsmont Community Center. I don't know if they move around. You know,
Yeah.
go to.
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, I know they're a fairly new organization, but I do think it's worth trying to engage enough to understand if there's
Okay.
value there. So if you are willing and able, that would be great.
Especially that, well, if you can go to that, assembly, the general assembly, that might have a lot of information.
Right.
I seem to remember Mike saying that lately they haven't been as responsive when he's tried to make contact with them. So maybe you could talk to Mike before, find out if he's gonna do it. And if you two together wanna do it, if that's, or if he's feeling a little bit like, maybe they need to get their act together.
Oh, okay. At the last housing committee, he provided a lot of information that they had done. And so I wonder if it was just growing pains in the initial of trying to figure out who was handling which.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, we can. I'll do the 27th thing.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, hold on, I went to July. Oh, June 27th,
Correct.
as long as somebody else tells Kim Smith why I can't be at the Lighthouse meeting yet again.
Oh, Lord, I'll call. Just email.
Okay.
I've given you from, S&P Global Ratings. We had this, I think it's every other year, we have a call with them. They are the ones that gave us the rating for when we did our own bond, and every other year, Vern and I have met with them over the phone. And they go through and ask you a bunch of questions, and so, we did that a couple weeks ago, and they affirmed that we're still a double A, and that's capital A. Vern said that's very good. Long-term rating on Islesboro's general obligation, GO debt outstanding outlook is stable, so that's very good, especially as we're going into bonding hopefully or something. Good timing. Tomorrow, because it's a holiday, but we're starting, the Energy Committee has Solar Logics, beginning the VRF, Variable Refrigerant Flow. It's a system-wide heat pump installation on this whole building, and the one that's in the apartment upstairs, there's one heat pump up there. That will be removed, and we'll take it to, I believe they decided on the transfer station, put that up there. The one in Tina's office will stay, and they just won't put another vent in that ceiling up there, so that worked very well. Health Center will get it, Public Safety Meeting Room will get it. And it will go on for 2 or 3 days, but they wanted to start in the Health Center tomorrow where it's closed, and so things won't be dropping down on patients or if there's anything up in the ceilings. Yeah, well, yeah, we had town meeting. I don't want to say much about that. If anybody else wants to come up and talk about it.
Go ahead, Steve.
The only thing I was thinking on that, rating, it might be interesting to ask, where the double A and some of the 1A or something, I mean, as we continue to look at spend, it might be good to know what our buffer, are we right in the middle of this rating, or are we at the high end of being closer to more favorable, or are we at, just for a guidance aspect?
I think we're at the high end. We did start in the beginning, it was lower. It might have been little A's or something, but I've got a folder you can look at with information that we've talked with them. And usually, a gentleman from Moody's is on there with us. He's the one that did the bond with us. So, he's always helpful. But I'll pull that folder out for you.
It's not critical, but I just, it's just nice to know,
Yeah,
where you range them.
yeah.
On the topic of that meeting,
What meeting?
the town meeting,
Oh.
is that where we're, I have one thing on that. I don't want to
No, you can take over my spot.
I wondered do we do a lessons learned type discussion afterwards like this? Because there was lots of feedback. I hope the school board does a lessons learned. One person said, which I agree with, was, for example, we should require our attorney to be at a town meeting for the whole period, type of thing. It was just one lesson learned. There's obviously many more, but maybe we should think about how do we recap what went well and what were the real pain points, to ensure that because what people want to know is we've taken note of those and later, we say this is what we are doing for the next meeting to address those things. And I think if you are able to graphically even just show them, here's what we heard, here's what we've done, here's where we are, comment on that because we're going to go with the lessons learned moving forward. So anyway, that's a thought.
Well, Tina and I and Dave and Paige came in on the end of it, and Brian, we had a Monday morning quick meeting just to kind of recap what we were thinking, what our thoughts were, and we are gonna make some changes. But if the board wants to get together and have a discussion like that when you're back sometime, that would be.
Yeah, I think, I'll tell you, there was a lot of, I won't say animosity that was going on. And, when the things come out, when the book came out, if we set ourselves up like those things that they could say, well, the book only came out 3 days, well, the budget's been out there for a month or two or whatever, so I do think it's our responsibility to look at, what we did well and what we didn't and how we want to change that moving forward and then coordinate that with the school board because it's not just our meeting. I don't know how to put that any different, but I think we should, as a group, talk about that.
And this was the first year the town reports. Every other year, we've taken them down there at least 4 days before the meeting, because it's by law, they're supposed to be up 3 days. And I don't know if it's something new, because Hillary did answer it on Facebook. She did say why, because she had other bulk mailers going out. That's the first I've ever heard of that, because we just always trusted, she's gonna get them out the next day, or we took them down there. I think it was Monday afternoon or Tuesday, because Tina had to order the stickers to put on. We didn't have anything big enough there.
I have heard, I actually, would like to be in a meeting, whether it's with you and Dave and your group, or if it's a select board meeting to discuss it, and then we bring together different ideas. And because Jennifer actually was showing me, and I haven't read it thoroughly, but another procedure where the school board takes their budget to a public meeting and presents it prior to it coming as a part of the town budget as a whole. So they do a dry run with the public, but it counts. And if the public agrees with the school board budget, then and passes in that public meeting, then it comes to the town, and in a town meeting later on, the whole thing is brought up again and approved or not approved. But there's a process. I'm not doing a very good job to representing it, but there's a process that allows for interaction and discussion of the school budget before you come to a big town meeting where the whole is going
And that's what the
through.
school budget workshop.
Yeah, they do a series of those.
They
a
do.
Series of public budget workshops that.
Yeah, where it's
formally-
voted on.
What's not voted on, there's ample room for discussion.
Yeah, not
Well,
by,
this is a different process.
yeah, I
Yeah, but-
don't know what that is. She'd have to bring it, depends if it's a charter, there's different things that can
Yeah,
happen
I mean,
here to charter.
It may not be possible, but I'm saying that it would be good to have this discussion a way that, because obviously somehow or other, enough people that had a problem with the budget, school budget did not or would not, whatever reason, participate in the budget workshop.
They don't, it's like here.
No, but I do think, I mean, I think it would be nice to reach out to the school board, and I mean, I think it's a great idea to do a debrief of what worked, what didn't work. How can we plan for going forward, and whether, you wanna, it would be nice to have everybody in person for that, and if, you were able to get feedback from, synopsis from the discussions that you've had with the town staff, I think that makes a lot of sense, and ask the school board to do something similar and come together so that we can have a plan early in the year, before both of our budget processes start, so that we can be prepared. And, I think it's not necessarily a bad thing to have, a joint board meeting at some point, maybe around the budget process, or, I feel like I feel like I've been a part of it once many years ago, and it really depends on, school staff and where we are in the budget, but I feel like if we can map that out early enough, hopefully it will be good for the community too. To
They were
see,
very late getting their
Yeah.
budget too, because they hadn't really finalized it, I guess, but
That was the other thing I thought of, just like briefly with this discussion, is maybe we need to set that deadline a week earlier than we've had it, to ensure that we actually get it put together and mail soon enough.
Well, remember, we had them come and present to us, and that was supposed to be the one, and then they kept changing it after. And so I would be interested in having the discussion about what stronghold can we hold them to, that way it doesn't hold up the rest of our process. It's like Lauren said, there's no carrot or stick. We just have a very strong guideline of, hey, we need this,
Right.
we needed this a day ago.
Yeah.
As opposed to showing up the day before it went to print.
and everybody would like it back in March. It can probably never go back to March.
but it would be nice to have it earlier than,
Yeah,
putting
no,
it
I
in.
agree.
Yeah.
I would also suggest, if not this meeting, then one of the ones in the summer, setting when we think it would be. Because part of our hiccup was me out of town, you out of town, you out of town,
Right.
you had stuff, but between the four of us, we had 1 month that was like, oh, cool, no.
I think I took a vacation.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Well-
and the school calendar too was full with school events.
Right, and so the sooner we turn around and can get it cordoned off, then
And-
we have it.
Yeah, but also kind of respect-wise for the school board, it would be nice for us, like, it's sort of easy for us because we can sit around the table and look at our calendars and be like, okay, we wanna hold the meeting. That, we know we all can make it here, on this date. But it's good to make sure that they can put it on their calendars too. I mean, we did
I
that
meant
already.
town meeting.
No, I mean, I
Oh.
know, but I think, I can see it being a challenge on their end if they had two board members and a super, and none of the administration attending,
Oh, yeah.
then that's a additional challenge. But,
But the key issue here is, lessons learned is, you get a list of all the objections that you heard, all of them, valid or not. And then we look at, like people said, they only got you booked 3 days before. I just heard by law, we have to do that for 3 days. Okay, so no one knows that's a law. But number two is, if that's not at a reasonable time, even though it's already out there, how do we address that objection? And then, we can use the island paper to come up with, here's what we heard. And here's the steps we want to take, and we're going to take those, but we want to have your input. The idea is, how do you diffuse these negative aspects by addressing what people see as negative early on? And so then when, if you address there's 8 of them and we address 6 really well and 2 marginally, you know, it just sets us up for a win. You know, much more effective meeting. And the school board certainly, it was a perfect storm for those poor people. I mean, they didn't have enough, you know, the numbers were wrong. They didn't use any graphics. I mean, I think that's a lesson learned I saw. You know, you can't just explain things, you know, you have to visibly show huge 3x5s and walk through the story as an explanation. So when someone brings up an objection, you go back to the graphic and you can show them. But if you're verbally communicating to group, not everybody learns or takes in verbally. So anyway, the point is, lessons learned is get all the objections we can, because that's good information. And then figure out, do we need the school board for one meeting, but how do we improve our process?
Should we add that to our next
Yeah, I like
meeting
it.
agenda?
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
To have this meeting at the next meeting with,
Right, to talk about this lessons learned and to come up with a list of objections and, and goals for moving forward, and then we can start to map out. I mean, I really like the way that you laid that out, Steve.
and now
Are
we're
we
inviting,
allowed to use the Facebook to ask the community, like we want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly? Can people post the things that concern them about the meeting? I mean, is there a way to gather information between them? Solicit.
Carrie?
Facebook does have surveys that you can create. And maybe if we create a survey that can kind of contain the feedback that we're getting, so it doesn't get like a wildfire.
Yeah, so it's productive, not just a venting.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
create a poll
Yeah.
on Facebook.
If you open up open session to comments and concerns, you're gonna get absolutely flooded
Yeah,
with everybody's and everything. But if we can create a poll maybe that has
that's what it is.
categories of where could we improve, time management, communication, presentation style, and then see what of those are the most, desired change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can even do it, I mean, it's not a doodle poll, but whatever, a constant contact poll, it doesn't necessarily have to be on
Yeah,
Facebook.
that goes up to part of the.
one of the Survey Monkey things, we
Yeah.
can put a link to that on Facebook.
Yep. Probably that'd be better, Survey Monkey, I would think. Steve, are you willing to sort of take a, point leadership on that? I'd be happy to help.
Sure, so I'm a novice on, so I know how to put something together, but who do I coordinate that with and how can?
It'd have to be with Janet, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about it, but do we want the school to come to this meeting that you're talking about?
Maybe do some preliminary work within the select board and then see how we can coordinate with the school. Just in terms of minimizing the number of voices that we have, it's easier for a smaller group to think through some of these things, and then you could present it to whoever at the school board is interested in working with us and get their input and then refine it after that. We're in no big rush, right? Except for Steve's idea that we want to tap into people's thinking now while it's
Yeah, right.
fresh.
That's fresh.
I think that if we would be more polite or better off, or however you want to word it. The school's getting their brand new superintendent potentially July 1st. And instead of having them automatically come in, let's let them work on, they've got a big thing that they already have to handle. They have the final meeting with the Patsy is next Tuesday, this 25th. And that's, they're electing their people to their positions, and then they are talking about their budget resolution plan. I really think that it'd be in everyone's best interest just to kind of give the school some breathing room let them get their new superintendent and their new people in.
Mhm.
And I don't even know that they're going to have they haven't been able to set their meetings for July yet or anything, and so then asking them to come and warm their
Yeah.
feet by the fire with us is,
I don't think we need to, I think,
I think it's
first-
an us.
I'm sorry, were you not finished?
Sorry, I had that afterthought of a better way to word it than feet by the fire.
I think you're right, but I would suggest that we do take beginning steps to organize our thinking and how we want to proceed. We don't have to put out a Survey Monkey or anything to the public right away. And we don't have to bring in the school board right away, but I think we can begin talking about, what's kind of a combination of things do we want to be looking at? What are some of the key points that were made? Do we want to do a Survey Monkey? If so, what would that look like? And then how might we involve the school board and when? We don't have to do it next week, but I think we should start the process.
Well,
We're going to let the school board know what our plan is, so that way they recognize that we are attempting to do our part to make sure the next one.
Yeah,
goes
I think that's
smoothly.
a,
And then
really
they can keep in the back of their head that maybe they also
Yeah.
need a little bit
yeah,
of
that's a
self-reflection.
great idea.
I think it
Yeah,
depends too, if the superintendent's coming on July first, if she's not, because that's all I heard the other day, she can't work until August first for whatever,
I heard that too.
you know, so. Magically.
I think there's some magic that's going in. Article 5 of, under their agenda for this month is selection of the superintendent for July.
So we don't wanna overcomplicate this, it's like, the community ran a meeting. We just start soliciting feedback, I'll work with Jen to like come up with, you know, some, a kind of a question type thing to solicit, you know, input. I mean, that's all we're asking. And it could be on our side, it could be on, you know, and we'll just compile that information, then we'll decide what we're gonna do it. You know, but it's always good to get feedback, you know, after any event, even if it was, everybody was glowing about everything, like, what else could we do? So, enough, I'll work with you.
How do you feel about getting this done before that next town meeting?
Yeah, I think we can, again, I'm not trying to make this a very complicated, while it's
No.
fresh on his mind, you know, what are your overall, you know, you'll start, you know, ask open-ended questions and closed-ended. Open-ended is, how do you feel about the meeting that, the way, you know, it transpired? Closed-ended is, how old are you? You know, and so we'll figure out the types of questions
Yeah,
that
good.
will allow us to get broad answers and then very specific based on things that occurred.
Great,
So
I like it.
I'll take that on as a task and I'll. Anyway, Janet, so I'll schedule something next week from Thursday. I'll email you.
Great, thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Sorry, I talked out of turn.
That's great. Okay, old business update on new legal services. We interviewed a second candidate, legal service candidate, yesterday. I guess just procedurally, I would like to recommend that maybe we take this issue out of order. We are able to enter an executive session so that we can, talk about those two interviews and the candidates, which I think we should do prior to, coming out of executive session and voting on who we'd like to offer the position to. But just for meeting flow, I would move that we take this, until the end after the appointments. Second,
So,
Second.
any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Melissa, aye. Steve, aye, I heard it. Melissa, aye. Steve.
all right.
Aye.
Okay, new business, annual elections of chair and vice chair.
I nominate Shay to stay the chair.
Second,
Any discussion or any other nominations? Okay,
should we wait for Pete to come back
I don't know what happened. Yes, sure.
or just go ahead? We've got enough people.
Steve?
I'm sorry, what's going on? I'm listening.
We're, the motion on the floor is for Shay to remain the chair, and we're taking a vote.
I,
You're perfect.
You're perfect.
Melissa, I.
Aye.
Lauren, I. Jay, I, yes.
Yay, for it.
Yay.
Vice chair,
I'd like to make a motion that Lauren stays the vice chair.
I would second that. Any other nominations? All right, hearing none. Steve?
Melissa, I.
Aye.
Jay, I. Pete Anderson also.
You didn't know who they nominated.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
Had a sneaking suspicion.
No, it was Lauren and Shay to retain their positions. Cool. Congratulations, both of you. I'm so happy
Thank
for
you, thank you for your continued.
Oh.
Okay, great. Okay, annual policy on treasurer's disbursement warrants for employee wages. So this is where we typically have two people that come in once a week to sign,
Every other week.
every other week to sign payroll checks. And
Well, they
that,
just approved the warrant.
okay.
Yeah.
And that is currently done by, clearly not me.
Lauren.
Are you guys willing to continue that service?
Sure. I'm happy to, unless somebody else would like
You
to.
wanna-
If one of you is trying to stop doing it, I'll take over, but I'm not exactly. You know,
I'm happy to stop doing it.
there you go.
Boom. I give it to Pete.
You're gonna show up on
That's not fair.
Tuesday.
Well, I gotta be quicker than that. I mean,
So, my thought process on this is that if we're both unavailable from the
Oh, right,
school,
right,
then it would be better to have somebody else.
right. Okay.
That was my thought process on keeping you,
That's okay. That works.
and I don't want to do
Yeah.
it. Because I failed.
I was.
You're gonna be hard, you know.
So
There's one.
I
Two L's.
nominate Pete Anderson and Lauren Bruce to the policy on the treasurer's disbursement warrants for employee wages and benefits.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Melissa, I.
Steve, aye. Pete.
Aye.
Jay, aye. And does everyone sign down here?
Yes.
I'm finding this very confusing. I'm sorry.
No, well, I had 5 slots, but I don't have a 5th person here to sign.
Next up, request to allow employees to use PTO time for July 5th and close for a long weekend. Do you wanna introduce this, Janet?
That's what I'm requesting, so, they can use for Friday, they can use their own personal time vacation or, if they have personal time left, use that for taking that day off, but our office would be closed.
Questions or feedback?
Feedback. I love the idea. I think it is great, but what is prohibiting us from just allowing the town office to close and just giving them the day as you guys did really well during.
Well, if you wanted to say that,
That, honestly,
we don't
that is
usually do that, but that's.
this is an unusual circumstance.
You mean as like a holiday?
Yeah, we appreciate you and the town office gets a lot of slack and you guys handle a lot of things across the board. All of our town employees do. And so I would be in favor of not charging your PTO, but still allowing you guys to be paid for that day and not be here.
I second that.
Solid. Wouldn't lie.
Right, I just, as an appreciation from the select board of, I think that this is great for, look, Karen's happy.
That's all I
I
need.
want somebody happy today,
We
that's
have
all.
we have a motion and a second. So is there discussion?
There's always precedent, I don't like to be a curmudgeon, but, that's why you have PTO time. Well, if we do that, why don't we give other people the whole, every town employee that day off? Maybe it is every employee.
I am asking for every town employee. All of
Does
them.
that, yeah, I feel like you get, so does that include all the like public safety who may not be able to take the day?
Yeah, I mean,
off, or how does that work?
He has my understanding from former life is they are under a different exemptory, like, just because it's the 4th of July doesn't mean that they get the federal holiday. It would roll to a different spot or anything like that. If he needed to do like a modified or like the health center on call kind of situation, using the best judgment for the ability that they had to allow them to not necessarily have to come into the office, but for those that worked in a first responder or emergency service situation, they have to still do what they do. Like, we don't just tell Fred, oh, it's Christmas, you don't have to work.
Right, but he gets a bonus holiday basically that he can take it another day.
He went for this.
So maybe that's what we do. We offer as a one-time bonus holiday. Or make it available to everybody. And they can take it when they're able to. Aside from people in the building who take on the 5th, right?
Right.
To make it even for everybody. I think we'll make it pretty clear that it's a sign of appreciation. It's not gonna be taken as a setting a precedent necessarily.
Well, it would be the first time it's happened.
Right.
No, it is.
But this is the first time we've had a meeting like that in quite some time, right? So.
Um,
Well, most boards. We look at it. I went with this because I saw a lot of other town managers doing this, went to the boards, asking.
Governor Mills initiated this, didn't she?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Governor Mills initiated this.
I'm not sure.
All the state offices are gonna be closed on July
Oh, the
5th
state,
also.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the state. Yeah. Some towns are doing it, some aren't, it just depends, I guess, how many employees they have and things like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I never would ask for that, but I'm very happy that you brought it up and everybody will appreciate keeping their time.
yeah, I would support it, but I think Steve has a valid point that it is. We just need to be careful, and like, I'm looking at like Christmas time holiday where like, Christmas falls on a Wednesday and just, anyway.
Yeah,
So we make it clear somehow, that this is not in relation to the fact that the 4th happens to fall on the day that it does. So that in the future, when we have what you're talking about, it's not immediately gonna be assumed that, well, just because it fell on this day, it means we're gonna get a bonus day and our holiday.
Right.
There's gotta be some way we can make it clear that it's sort of an appreciation thing,
If you,
right?
Steve, if you say it's a one-time, however you phrase it, the next part of the sentence, one-time
Gratitude.
gratitude, appreciation, does that take it out of a precedent setting in your mind, or is it?
I mean, I like acknowledging the work. But I think it's a great idea, but I think it's, that's why we have all these other, time off periods that we're allowed to take, because we want to do that as a personal thing, so,
So on the flip,
but
I'm kind of playing devil's advocate with it. If you had somebody who, you guys will get 40 hours vacation time essentially, right? I don't know what you guys get. But if you had somebody who had a planned vacation later in the year that would use their vacation time, are we mandating that they take the 5th? Or take it unpaid since they won't have the time to use? That doesn't seem, Right.
I understand that. I just-
So-
If you have, if, let's say Carrie's planning to take all of her vacation time and PTO. Carrie has a major event coming up in April of this next year. She's going to spend, she is pre-planning to spend all of her time, and so she cannot afford to give the 8 hours on Friday. Are we now asking Carrie to open up the town office by herself so that she doesn't have to spend her PTO?
Right, we're making the decision to close the town office, it's not fair of us to pull their pay based on our decision.
Right,
Like a snow day at school for an hourly employee,
right.
similar situation.
Look,
Why
this
they
problem,
want to.
you know,
Oh, no,
so I think we should just vote on it.
Yeah.
Let me ask a point of order. Am I allowed to abstain from a vote? Because I'm new. I don't want to necessarily, you know, I don't know if this type of thing comes up frequently or if this is a really a one-off. I mean,
can you justify your reasoning for abstaining?
because you know what? You're right. I'll just vote.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. If you have a valid reason of,
Well, I want to go with the majority on this, but I don't necessarily agree with what I think is the majority, so
gotcha,
anyway. Anyway,
there's no problem in being the no vote.
well, I know that.
Okay, I don't want you to feel bullied or anything like that.
I can't picture
Would you-
Steve getting
Are you
bullied.
bullying her?
Would you prefer to not be called first?
I vote no.
Melissa?
I vote in favor of.
Steve?
I'm sorry,
Lauren?
clarification. Are we voting to allow them to, as requested by Janet, to use their PTO time? Or are we modifying it to allow them to close without deducting PTO time?
Sorry, so I thought your motion was,
To do it
To
without
without
deducting?
deducting.
Okay, I just want to make sure we were all still on the same page.
Yep.
Cool.
I'm gonna vote yes. But I do think we need to make it clear that this is a one-time and, doesn't, mean that in the future we will be
Right.
doing this again. Yes, if we do, we do, but that's not word.
right, we're not adding
Right.
we're not adding a annual bonus holiday.
Yeah.
But it may be wise to talk about what to do with situations in the future and come up with a policy for it. As time goes on.
I also will vote aye, although I have, I well said.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was my first big motions.
I'm so proud of myself.
Well done.
And
watch it
crash and burn.
We're not over yet.
All right, no other business. Next up, approve warrant number 26 for FY 24. Second? Any discussion? All of those in favor?
Sorry.
Yep.
Warrant 24,
Oh,
what are those?
I didn't send it to him.
Oh,
I just got it.
haha. Sorry, so apparently you don't have a copy of what we are seeing here, but in the physical packets, every 2 weeks, we get a cover sheet that shows the total of what is being paid, and a detailed accounting of who is getting paid and what for, and then in the meeting, we have this handy dandy green folder, which, so we can review copies of invoices for everything that is included in being paid in that warrant, so. So that is that process,
Okay,
Do we have a motion to approve in a second?
yes, any other questions, discussion? Okay, all those in favor, Steve? They're not, have you seen it?
Oh, poor guy.
Right.
I just texted it to you.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Melissa,
Melissa, I.
Pete, Lauren,
Aye.
Shay.
And we will never send you that material as long as you're zooming. I'm just kidding.
Okay, and then it looks also like on the bottom there, for those that are on the payroll policy, you've got another signature there. Okay, where are we in the agenda? Okay. No appointments, so now we are on to the legal services, so I would entertain a motion to enter executive session to,
We have the quota statute
and that statute is.
So this is for you to sign up, Peter.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Somebody would do the same thing.
She takes over the 40 minutes, a copy. Or none of the executive sessions. are correct?
No, exactly.
Am I supposed to keep them on speakerphone confidential during the executive? Like, I can't agree using that as our,
Yeah, I think so.
as our helper, you know, okay.
We're not discussing.
Steve, you're stuck with
They're
us.
not really personnel because they're not.
Well, you're gonna choose one. So let's just go with that. I'll make the decision.
Okay.
But they will be personnel eventually.
Did you say it?
One, M-I-S-O.
Subsection 405. I will make a comment.
Somebody has their hand up.
Maggie, go ahead.
It's me again. Did I miss the appointments?
We have no appointments tonight.
Okay, then ta-ta. See you
Oh.
Thanks, Maggie.
And. So did you announce these,
Should we stop recording though? If this is a public,
yeah, I will,
okay.
but did you
Do
want
we need
to
to
announce?
record the,
Motions?
When you're writing up that motion, it will be statute 1 MRSA 4056A. So that's what she's gonna
Okay,
put in.
but
the-
so once we vote to go into executive session, I'll start the recording and I'll wait outside.
Okay,
So is
so
there a
I
motion?
made the motion.
second,
Any further discussion? Okay, I will go in opposite order because I feel badly that I've been calling on Steve first all night. Pete. Lauren.
Aye.
Jay, I.
Melissa,
Steve,
Aye.
excellent.
I'll let you copy this.